with Ricardo and Harvey Barnes at the centre. Ricardo setting up Barnes for number 1, Barnes setting up Ricardo for number 2. Injuries to Vardy and to Mendy did take the gloss off that first half. A nervy second half, Mark Noble converting a dubious penalty, but Leicester came through a very difficult spell, and it was over to Jose Perez to convert Leicester's penalty for 3-1, and then a cute finish for 4-1. Matt Elliott, plenty of standout performances tonight, but who does your man of the match go to?
Oh, not easy. As you rightly say, good performances throughout. Let's have a little look. I'm tempted to stand out through straight away. Harvey Barnes, Ricardo Pereira. I'd love to give it to Harvey. I think that was probably his best performance up until the time he was substituted. He was causing havoc down this left flank in the first half. Davalenta just couldn't live with him. Scored one, assisted for one, as did Ricardo. Returned the favour for Harvey, but the quality of his assist and goal was perhaps a little bit higher, and he finished the duration of the game. So begrudgingly, Portuguese right back gets it yet again.
Oh, there's nothing to begrudge there, Matt. I think that's a fair assessment. The good feeling is back at the King Power Stadium. Leicester City are right back on track. They've beaten West Ham United by 4-1. John.
Thank you, Chris. Matt, as Leicester have won, we will allow you to venture in the warmth of the studio to join Jerry and Ewan as we analyse and sum up that Leicester City victory. Elsewhere in the Premier League at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it's full-time. Tottenham 2, Norwich 1. Dele Alli had given Spurs the lead before half-time. Teemu Pukki had equalised with a penalty with 20 minutes remaining, but 10 minutes from time, Son Heung-min has won it for Tottenham at Old Trafford, the game that Leicester fans will be watching on. Manchester United in 5th place. They are trailing by a Chris Wood goal. That was a late kick-off, 8:15 that one kicked off, so they're coming up to the hour mark there. In the Championship, not much to talk about. Charlton 0, Fulham 0, and Nottingham Forest 0, Reading 0. Jerry Taggart, your full-time verdict on a latest Leicester win?
Yeah, a bit more like it, wasn't it? A bit more like what we're used to seeing around these parts. Fantastic performance, which, when you listen to Brendan, that's always his first thoughts is about the performance. And obviously, invariably, when you have a good performance, which the lads did, then the result follows the performance. One follows the other, and that's exactly what happened. Fantastic way to get back to winning ways.
Start the second half. We talked about Antonio, the change that West Ham made. He made an immediate impact, had a shot within 30 seconds, and just caused Leicester a few problems. There were nervous times in the opening stages of that second half.
Well, obviously, West Ham have gone in at half-time, and David Moyes has obviously had a few words with him, a few harsh words, and rightly so. Antonio comes on, he's like a bull in a china shop, isn't he? He's a real handful, a real genuine handful, and he helped West Ham, get themselves back in the game. But the one thing I did like was, after West Ham did score, a lot of teams would then go within themselves, go within the shell a little bit, but Leicester didn't do that. They still carried on, passing the ball, getting on it, and in the end, West Ham paid the price for. I'm not saying they went gung ho, but they put a lot of energy into that second half because they didn't put any energy into the first half, basically, and they paid the price for that. Because as we've known and as we've seen here on many of occasion, as the game wears on, Leicester come into their own with their fitness levels, and that's what we've seen. That third goal, we'll obviously go through the main highlights of the game. The third goal brought back Leicester's swagger return. The last 10 minutes, all of a sudden, the one-touch return, bit of Olé football, and they just saw it through, Ewan.
Yeah, the first 15, 20 minutes of that second half, you have to give credit to the reaction that David Moyes got from his players, because they were abysmal in the first half. They played higher up the pitch as a team. They worked harder. They had a player up there in Antonio who put himself about, showed his strength, showed his pace, showed what he's all about. And he did make life difficult for Leicester in that opening 20-minute period. Now, they got the penalty, whether it was or wasn't, it's another debate. But they weathered the storm, and it's my first time here at the King Power this season, and some of that football is an absolute pleasure to watch. Some of the one-touch passing, the movement. I remember when they won the Premier League in 2015. It's fair to say you were a counter-attacking side. Now you're a possession-based team. Everything's about keeping that ball, moving it quickly. Finding your man. Plenty of options for the man on the ball, movement going forward. Some of that football in that game was breathtaking.
Going back then to the start of that second half, there was the penalty, very debatable. One of those that VAR checks. If the referee's given it, they back him. If he hasn't given it, they probably still back him. I think the three of us thought it was harsh. There wasn't much in it. Haller going down under the challenge of Ndidi.
Well, we sat in here just before we went out, and the penalty was given, and Tags went straight away, that's a penalty. And I'm like, what? And I've looked on the screen, and I thought Ndidi at the start, he just got in front of him, his arm had come across him, and then is there a tangling of feet? I don't know. But it's hard for a referee to... Like, matey, how are you, pal? It's, once he'd given it,
he decided to join us.
It was going to be hard to be overturned. Was it Noble who took it? Good pen, to be fair. But then you've got to weather the storm. And having got that early goal, I can't remember Kasper having too much to do in the goal, to be fair. They didn't really... There
was a bit of a goal match scramble, wasn't there, at one stage?
From a set piece, I think, but apart from that, he wasn't troubled too much. Remember Maddison pulled a good save from Randolph after some great play. Plenty of balls going into that West Ham penalty box. But in the end, the right result.
But while it's 2-1, Jerry, there's that nervousness, and it was vital that third goal came via a penalty. Another substitute involved, Kelechi Iheanacho, a storming run, a great turn as well.
Kelechi, invariably, when he's Illa Kimona, when he started, he showed a different side, to his game. And again, tonight, he showed that when he came on. He looked hungry, he looked sharp, and he got his goal with not just persistence, but with, a great bit of skill inside the box where he's played it from his left foot onto his right foot, and away it goes. Defender slides in, mistimes the challenge, and then Ogbonna gets back and just bundles him to the floor. Again, you can't really argue with the referee's decision, but you've got to say it was all Kelechi Iheanacho's own work, to be fair. There was a ball up there, and he spun the defender initially. The ball's dropped lovely for him, and once he's got a touch on it, he's away and free. And it was just a matter of what's he going to do next. And what he did next was a great piece of skill inside the box.
Did you think West Ham's penalty was a penalty?
On first thought, yeah. And the referee gave it.
I'm
contact.
not convinced. I'm not convinced. It looks as if he's stood
on his foot, didn't he?
Yeah, Wilfred's foot, yeah.
Yeah. And he's going away from it, so like
Wilfred sort of got in front of him,
as well,
his arm's gone across him, and then Haller's foot's come down on his foot.
Listen, we've had this debate before, me and you, about penalties and
not
VAR.
That one tonight.
I know, but
I like arguing.
You're on the other side because you're normally sitting here, sitting down and analysing it when I'm commentating outside.
Yeah.
And we have the opposite opinions when we're in different positions. And now you've got the same opinion that I would have if I was commentating.
Yeah. I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. Because you'll always tell me they look for contact. The referees look for contact when they go to VAR, and there was contact.
Yeah, no, but it was almost shoulder to shoulder or knee to knee or whatever, wasn't it?
It was shoulder to shoulder. I think it was that coming together.
Yeah,
the feet,
that made him go down.
It's totally accidental, I thought.
Did you think the ref generally sort of rushed into decisions? A few out there.
There was no way he wasn't giving.
Oh no, Leicester's.
It's
definitely being given after theirs. Theirs was given. Yeah, 100%. I think Leicester's was more of a penalty than West Ham's, even though I don't think it was that convincing either. But you were going to get it on the night, weren't you?
Some comments coming in already on Facebook. Phil Parslow says pure class. Nicola said that's more like it. And Lee Byrne says, glad I've sorted my passport out, getting ready for the European tour. Even in the first half, the Foxes fans singing, we're going on a European tour, feeling confident, and passports are being dusted off. I
think the reason why they were probably singing, because they seen a different Leicester tonight from what they've seen in the last couple of games. That was a really high tempo, high performance, game of football. They were at the races tonight. It's as simple as that, and that's probably why you hear the fans, because the fans appreciate that high tempo game that Brendan's brought to the King Power Stadium. It's as simple as that, and that was probably missing a little bit against Southampton here. Missing a little bit against Burnley away. But tonight they were right on the money. West Ham were poor, but take nothing away from the players.
That's where I think a bit of the anxiety came from. Losing 4 out of 6, but then the edge had gone off Leicester's game, but they've been knocked out of stride by because they got turned over more convincingly than people expected against Man City and Liverpool, didn't you? And I think supporters that edginess comes from thinking, what we saw in the first half of the season, was that semi-fluke? Was it something that just happened and they've lost it a little bit now because they weren't playing with the same sort of control or same quality that they have done? But tonight they did, didn't they?
Yeah,
got back on it, up the tempo, and everything was better. It's almost like a relief. They're like, they can still do that. They have still got that. And if they play anything like that for the rest of the season, they will be in the Champions League if they can maintain anywhere near that.
Plenty backing up your Man of the Match award, Matt. Tyron saying Ricardo outclassed everyone on the field tonight.
Did we agree with that one, Ty?
I've been saying to Ian, every week we come in here and we're like, Ricardo's the best player on the pitch.
Yeah.
But
we can't give it him. It's almost begrudgingly, isn't it?
We can't give it him every week. You said, well, no, you can. If he's the best player on the pitch, you give him Man of the Match. And again tonight, he showed it.
Duncan Capone goes one further. Ricardo, best defender in the league. Best fullback, maybe?
I don't know about the best defender. I mean, for a couple of times, even though I thought he was superb man of the match, a couple of times a little bit semi-rash.
Do you know, I think managers now, though,
as a forward, attacking fullback,
prefer them to go forward.
Yeah, they're more bothered about that.
Don't really worry about the defensive side of the game.
No.
People rave about Trent Arnold that he's not far behind him.
No.
He's not far behind him whatsoever.
Arnold's... No, he's...
I don't think he is, Matty. I don't think he is.
No, he's class, Arnold, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Alexander Arnold, but... Ricardo,
and to be fair, I thought
top notch.
Chilwell looked back at it tonight.
Not better.
Yeah, better, wasn't he?
Better, yeah. What do you think with the centre halves tags as well? Because Soenchu played on the right hand side not long ago, didn't he?
Yeah, and Johnny played on the left. They changed that.
Yeah, and Brendan Rodgers' explanation was we felt basically he was saying Johnny's more adept with his left foot, isn't he?
Yeah.
But then they switched back round tonight.
Yeah, they did.
And I was thinking, well, if you made that switch, why haven't you stuck with it? I don't know. Because Soenchu was excellent tonight against Haller, wasn't he? He kicked off him, but every now and then shanks one with his left foot, didn't he? You're more comfortable.
He was marking a mannequin, though.
Well,
let's face it, Haller. I mean, come on. I said at half time, if anyone's got 2 new knees, please send them in here, and I'll get out there and mark him.
Just 2, Jerry. Would one have done it?
I think one would have done it.
How's he starting in front of Antonio? I can't see that at all. But anyway.
Well, when you mention Antonio, I'm glad I've got 2 bad knees, to be honest.
Yeah.
Send me them bad ones back.
Richard has prompted us to have a look at Old Trafford, where Burnley have gone 2-0 up now against Manchester United. Yeah. So the gap from 5th to where Leicester are now, I think, will be 13 points by the end of today. 14 by the end of this afternoon or this evening, either.
14, yeah.
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 Just going back to that third goal, Ewan, you looked at me just as Perez stepped up and said, we missed one on Sunday. Different player. I wonder whether Jose Perez knew before the game that he would be kind of the backup penalty taker with Jamie coming off injured. But no messing about from the spot, fired into the back of the net.
No, and this day and age with VAR and the checks they've got to do, it's a long time, isn't it, before you actually take it from when...
Which can be unsettling.
Yeah. The more time you've got to think about it, the more things go through your mind. Am I going to change my mind? What am I going to do? But he kept his cool. Whether it'd been decided or not, I'm not too sure. But you in that, when your penalty taker's gone on, you want someone who's got the confidence to step up, give me the ball, put it down, and smash it in the back of the net. That's exactly what he did.
And for him to then go and get the 4th, I think it's 3 goals in his last 5 games. There's always the question when Jamie Vardy was on such a great run of form, what happens if Jamie Vardy is injured? But they've scored 4 goals tonight without him.
And just such a great team goal. Patient build-up, patient passing. And then when you eventually get into the final third, in and around that West Ham penalty box, just the quickness of passing gets quicker. Unselfish play from Kelechi, and a terrific finish. It really was a terrific finish by Perez.
Didn't score tonight, but we've just mentioned the last 2 goals. Kelechi and Nacho heavily involved. Had a big impact.
He looks a different player. You know, he came for £25 million and never really had an impact. But this season, ever since he came on against Everton and created the equaliser for Vardy, even though you thought it was a shot on goal tag, and then scored that great goal to win the game. He looks a different player. And
goals have been spread around, Matt. I think there's only Liverpool have had more goal scorers than Leicester. So there isn't a reliance on Jamie Vardy. People are chipping in from all over the pitch.
It's a bit of a misconception, that, isn't it, really? I mean, because of the volume of goals that Vardy does get, people assume that, you know, they're overly reliant on him. You know, most of the players, even Maddison must have, was he got half a dozen, 5 or 6?
Yeah.
So you can't knock that tally. But most of the players would be thinking that they would, you know, target themselves a higher tally, really, the majority of them. Ricardo aside, for a fullback, he's got at least 3 I can think of, which is not bad going at this stage, whatever. But, you know, it's not an array. No one's supporting Vardy. They're miles off Vardy, aren't they? The next one down, that's what I'm trying to say. They're spreading it around, which is a good sign.
I think Maddison's got 8 or 9. That's probably the
in
next
the league.
Nearest. That's all competitions.
Yeah.
So I think 6 in the league off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, that's not bad going. But you'd expect that of someone of his quality. You'd expect, you know, at least similar. Mind you, he has now, hasn't he? Perez, because he got Flurry, hasn't he? He's got
half a dozen.
He's got at least 6.
You know,
at least 6,
Harvey's
isn't he?
Getting the goals now.
Now Harvey's got. Yeah, exactly. You know, all of a sudden it's funny how quickly things can change in football, isn't it? People have a bit of a grumble, there's a bit of nervousness and anxiousness around, and then Man U, it looks like they're going to chuck a result tonight, and Leicester win convincingly, and all of a sudden 14-point gap, and it wasn't too much to complain about before, was there? But never mind now.
And then with the 2 big cup games coming up, by the time we sit here this time next week, could be in the 5th round, could be.
Yeah, you don't get ahead of yourself, but
it's
a distinct possibility, isn't it? Yeah, and happy days again.
Mentioned James Maddison, came close, had that long shot tipped over the bar. I think he's probably due a goal, so he'd have fancied one tonight.
Yeah, he was better tonight, James. I thought, you know, his all-round game was good, very good indeed, actually. And, you know, probably deserved the goal on the night. I thought him and Tielemans in midfield, his passing was superb tonight, really was. But, yeah, when James gets in that position, you're expecting him to hit the target. He duly obliged, and I think when he's gone to strike the ball, it's just sat up a little bit. So he's had to stroke it, and maybe he was going to stroke it anyway, but he might have got a little bit more purchase with hitting it with the inside of his big toe rather than the instep. Because it's set up, he had to just caress it, and maybe
Is that what you used to do?
Yeah. Of course it is. Have you not seen my goals? Hey?
I had to hit you on the top of the head first before your legs swung.
On VHS. But maybe I just took a little bit of that curl out of it and it went a little bit straighter than he would have liked. And then that's enabled Randolph to get across and make a good save. But
That'd have been a hell of a goal, by the way, wouldn't it? The build-up and everything.
Quality. But that's a bit more like it from Maddison. Driving, giving goals. You know, getting the back off Barnes with a neat little flick. And then that strike, bang, lovely.
Mentioned Yuri Tielemans, touched on it at half-time, kind of a 4-2-3-1 tonight. He was a little bit more withdrawn. Do you think that's what impressed you tonight because he had a slightly different role, and did he revel in that?
I think Yuri, when he plays for Belgium, sort of plays in that holding role anyway. I'm not sure whether Belgium play a similar style of football with the 2 holders. But what that enables you to do is, when you play with it, well, they start as holders, so you have a 2-man start, two-man holding midfield. But Yuri's the one that gets released from that when the build-up plays. The further up the pitch the play goes, then Yuri then can release himself and go and join in.
Got more space then to move.
He's got more space to actually move into. He's then got the space when he just creeps up the pitch slightly, 5 yards at a time, and the ball comes to him. He's got that time and space to pull them passes off that you've seen. Whereas when he's in a 3-man, when he's in a 2-man attack in midfield, he's in and around tight areas. You know, he's got his back to goal, and maybe he can't pull them passes off. So he's
not a regular like Maddison.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. He's not somebody who's probably best suited to playing with his back to goal, whereas James is. But what it does is what you've seen tonight from Muirley was his passing range, which I thought was fantastic.
We've seen Brendan, Matt, throughout the season change different formations. Either that little tweak tonight rather than the one holder who's gone 2. Finish the game with 3 centre-halves. There's that flexibility around the team. You can change a game or change a formation to suit a game.
Yeah, it was a good attribute to have. You know, at times it can look like when it doesn't work, people accuse you of overcomplicating it and confusing the players. But I think over the medium to long term, it's beneficial. You know, because they can adapt to different situations. Bring Wes Morgan on, back 3 is a ploy that he regularly adopts, isn't it? And rightly so. Being professional first and foremost, soak up any pressure that might be coming your way and still have that threat on the counter, as they showed with 2 late goals. But
most players will have played various formations for different clubs.
Yeah.
So. Yes, Brendan will go through it in training for however long.
That's all they need. It's just a brief overhaul, isn't it?
But when they're sat on the sidelines and they're getting ready to come on, and Brendan goes, push such and such on, you go in the centre half. People like Wes Morgan, it's second nature to him, and if the player that's being moved out of position or being moved further up the pitch or whatever, he's got any issues, and you've got Johnny Evans and Wes Morgan there talking him through it. So it's not a problem, because...
Yeah. He said after, because he did it against Everton, didn't he? He changed
back 3
went to a back 3 early in the second half. And I think in his press conference after, he said that it was something that the team had worked on in pre-season, just in case different scenarios and different teams check different problems at you. And that day they were finding Everton to break down. I think today, obviously, he's brought Wes on to shut up shop. And I think he was getting himself ready to come on before was it the 4th goal or the 3rd goal before he came on? And he didn't change his mind, you know what I mean? He's still, no, I'm going to get him on. I've made my mind up, even though game's done and dusted, we've won the game, I'm still going to bring him on.
Well, he realised, obviously, that Antonio was a real handful tonight. They've got 2 up front, and Antonio's a real handful. So what does he do?
Surprised he didn't do a little bit earlier.
He fights fire with fire. Simple as that. He gets Wes on, he says, go and deal with him. Antonio's our danger man. Go and deal with him. Marshal that back line. Get involved. And that's exactly what Wes did. Sometimes it's not even rocket science. It's just about nullifying somebody by fighting fire with fire. Someone physical having a battle with somebody else who's physical. And that's all the tactics you need sometimes.
It doesn't always come off 100%. What Brendan does, it doesn't for any manager, does it? But he gets a higher percentage right, doesn't he? And more often than not, you find yourself applauding his tactics rather than questioning them.
A few more comments coming in on Facebook. Chris Jones, a very, very good, solid performance, well-deserved 3 points. Sam Vaughan saying a clinical performance, showing a robust mentality after the disappointment of the last few games. Keep your comments and thoughts coming into the Facebook page. You and just carrying on talking about Wes Morgan. We spoke about him in depth before the game, his experience, his importance around the dressing room. He's come back from an injury, so probably good for him just to get that 10 minutes under his belt. Might be more involved on Saturday, we never know, but it just keeps his match fitness, match sharpness going.
Yeah, it does. And hence the importance of giving him another year, because he is going to be needed, he is going to be called upon. It's going to be interesting to see what happens on Friday, 4th round of the FA Cup at Brentford, with such an important cup tie in a short space of time after that on Tuesday night at Villa Park in the second leg. And going back, looking at Tielemans, I think maybe being left out of or rested for a couple of games has done him the world of good, because this is a player that's never played in this country before. He's used to having a winter break at this time, whatever they have on the continent. He's not had that now. He's played a lot of games in a short space of time. Maybe looked a little bit lethargic in the Southampton game. He's come back and he looked back at it again tonight. So it will be interesting what team will start at Brentford. Bound to be a few changes, because looking at the two even though you hold the FA Cup in more esteem than the League Cup, winning into the second leg of a League Cup semi-final with a chance of a Wembley appearance, with a chance of silverware, you go at your fully strongest team.
Yeah, I think Brentford are liable to make a few changes as well, aren't they?
Good side, Matty.
Yeah, they are a good side,
I've seen
but
them a lot.
They're going for automatic, aren't they? They're on. They're hovering on the edges of, aren't they?
Especially with West Brom and Leeds blowing up of late.
And have they got a big game Tuesday or something? They've got a game.
I don't know.
Themselves,
Possibly
obviously Leicester have got. So I'm thinking, I was speaking to a friend of mine who actually supports Brentford. He said, I think they'll make changes, which would be a bonus. But you can't rely on that, can you? I suppose.
No.
But
they're at home to Nottingham Forest Tuesday, so that is
Forest are up there, aren't they?
Big game. I think Forest have drawn tonight. Here at King Power Stadium, Leicester City have beaten West Ham 4-1. Jose Perez got the last 2 goals, and he's been talking with Dan.
Congratulations, Jose. That was a fantastic evening.
Thank you very much. Yeah, great performance by the team. A great result, very needed, and very happy to be able to help the team with goals as well.
How good did that win feel, coming off the back, obviously, of those 2 defeats?
Yeah, we knew we had to bounce back. The best way is with a performance like we did today. Great result from the very first minute. Pressing high, building a good momentum, high tempo. So it was about attitude and the courage to get a result. So we did well this night.
A couple of goals for yourself, of course. Your first one's here at King Power Stadium in the Premier League. How are you feeling personally?
Well, it feels so great, no? To be able to score at home. It took a bit of time, but worth it at the end. So 2 today, and hopefully many more to come.
Collectively, as a group, what was the feeling at full time and coming off the pitch there? Because performances like that must give you so much confidence.
Yeah, we need to take advantage of that confidence, of this result, because we have been struggling a little bit at home the last couple of home games, a part of the last 2 results, but that's the reaction of a big team, of a team that that want to keep pushing, to keep winning games and proving that we are in a great position.
Games obviously come thick and fast, don't they? 2 in different cup competitions. It's another big week, isn't it?
Yeah, a great week for us. Very important. FA Cup first, important game that as well. We need to make sure we go through, and then 2 massive games: the semi-final of Carabao and another home game against a great team. So we need to make sure we're ready for it. We prepare ourselves and we push with our lives.
That was Jose Perez talking after his 2 goals this evening at King Power Stadium. At Old Trafford, about 10 minutes remaining, Manchester United 0, Burnley 2. And Matt, due to good behaviour, we'll let you depart. Thank you for your efforts.
Perhaps I don't want to go.
You can stay if you want, sir.
Oh, I'll go, it's okay.
But you will be back tomorrow at 12:30 alongside Gerald Taggart.
Can I do an extra half hour now, not turn up tomorrow?
Speak to the management, nothing to do with me. So yeah, 12:30 tomorrow, matchday -2 ahead of the FA Cup game on Saturday
Jonathan.
at Brentford.
Well
Thank
done
you,
on
Matt.
the old presenting gig as well, mate. Hey?
We've had a go.
Sterling job, son.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Jerry and Ewan will be with us for the next, half an hour or so. Hope to hear from Brendan Rodgers shortly. Hopefully, we'll get some injury updates in terms of Papi Mendy and, more importantly, Jamie Vardy. But Wilfred Ndidi returned from injury this evening. Doesn't look like any ill effects. Whether he will be involved on Saturday or not is probably another question.
I don't think he will. I wouldn't play him, personally. I'd keep him for Tuesday night. As Ewan's just alluded to there, he barring probably 2 or 3 of the team that started tonight, or even the subs that came on, everybody else who you're thinking of playing, rest them up 6 days, So you don't want to take. So you've seen Wilfred get injured, you've seen Wes get injured, you've seen Jamie Vardy get injured over the last few weeks. I don't think you can afford to take that chance with Aston Villa coming up on Tuesday night. that's just my opinion, but sometimes you've got to see the bigger picture. And as Ewan said again, the bigger picture is the second leg against Villa.
Ewan, is it the time of year that these injuries are coming? You've had that busy kind of winter schedule. Is it the build-up of games and I suppose the physicality that takes out on your body?
I think it is. It is the busiest time of the football calendar. It's so many games in December and the beginning of January. And it's not just Leicester that have struggled with injuries over this period. We've heard Pep Guardiola. He wants to make away with the League Cup because of the fixture congestion at this time. It can't be a coincidence. Just little niggly injuries. That's what you get when you get tired bodies. How you overcome it. It's that's why teams spend millions on assembling squads to cope with the amount of and in a way it's a good thing, because if you've got not just league games, if you've got cup games, it shows you're successful, and that's what a club like Leicester wants. It wants success. It wants long cup runs. Hasn't had fun for a while. I don't think Tags, you'll be able to tell better than me. But yeah, it's not just a problem for Leicester picking up these injuries at this time of year. I think it's more of a general problem in football.
Leicester victorious this evening against West Ham United. 4-1 for the Foxes. Here's how it unfolded on Matchday Live.
Well, just 25 days have passed since these two met at the London Stadium, but a lot has happened since Leicester's win in the capital. West Ham wasted no time in sacking Manuel Pellegrini just hours after Damari Gray's winner, placing their trust in David Moyes with the hope he's not lost his survival instincts, which served the Hammers so well last time around. Maddison, Tillemans, clever ball, Barnes had space, first touch was loose, but here's a chance now for Ricardo on the right-hand side, tapped in by Harvey Barnes, but Ricardo takes all the credit there for setting up the goal, and Barnes couldn't miss from underneath the crossbar. Leicester have the goal that their play so thoroughly merits. They lead West Ham 1-0. Barnes will keep it in play. West Ham a bit ragged with their defending. Barnes running at Zabaleta, low ball in. Here's Ricardo! No mistake, Ricardo! It's 2-0 to Leicester, and they are oozing confidence now. He made the first, he scores the second, and Leicester lead West Ham by 2-0. West Ham free kick, Lanzini sweeps it into the back post, Schmeichel comes, gets a useful punch on it that at least takes it away from immediate danger, and then Ndidi just shrugs his man off the ball on the edge of the penalty area.
Oh dear.
And it is a free kick right on the edge of the penalty area. Schmeichel is furious with the referee, David Coote. Or has he given a penalty here?
Yeah, he's given it, yeah.
Here goes Noble, Schmeichel on his line, Noble scores. In the end, plays it straight down the middle, Schmeichel dives out of the way, and West Ham have a route back into this game. Leicester 2, West Ham 1. Iheanacho away from Ogbonna, now has options in front of him, but Iheanacho might go it alone, he does, all the way through, he's brought down, penalty. David Coote awards the second penalty of the night. A pivotal moment in this game as we enter the last 10 minutes. Here's Perez, brilliantly penalty, brilliantly struck, and that could be the goal that wins the game for Leicester. Low ball in from Ricardo, Iheanacho to Perez, it's Perez and it's brilliantly done. Oh, that's a lovely finish by Jose Perez to find the bottom corner to ensure the 3 points remain at the King Power Stadium. He scores twice, Leicester score 4, and it's been a vintage night under the lights at the King Power Stadium. Leicester 4, West Ham 1.
Your place for all the big moments. You're listening to Matchday Live on LCFC Radio.
Burnley still leading Manchester United by 2-0 at Old Trafford. Get your comments coming in via our Facebook page. Vera Barley says, well done you Foxes. AD Oliver says it was a Champions League performance. And Mark Truman says Super Foxes, Ricardo was absolutely class this evening. We'll keep an eye on that Manchester United game, but just listening back to the highlights, and so many impressive performances and just a convincing victory after a couple of stuttering performances or results rather at King Power Stadium?
Yeah, I think it happens. You know, we spoke about it before, John. You're never going to go through a season impeccably. You know, you're going to have the odd up and down. It's how you react to those ups and downs that's the important thing. You're never going to win every game. You know, Liverpool are at the minute they're miles ahead of everybody. You know, even Man City have had the odd blip this season. They had one on Saturday, got home to Crystal Palace. It's how you overcome those setbacks, and we saw Leicester City at their best tonight. That first half was an absolute pleasure to witness. You know, the passing, the movement, and it's not just keeping the ball for the sake of keeping it. It's having a purpose to passing the ball. The forward movement was tremendous. You know, Harvey Barnes coming off that left wing, Ben Chilwell overlapping him, the same down the right hand side. It was a joy to watch, and if they play like that, they are going to win far more games than they lose. That's what the 8th home win this season in 12 games. I think they only won 8 in the whole of last season. So you know, they're definitely doing something right.
Ricardo was this evening's man of the match. We'll hear from Brendan Rodgers shortly, but let's hear from the man, Ricardo. Slight technical issue. We will hear from Ricardo. He was that good. He gave Dan the slip as well there in the interview room.
Oh, that wouldn't have been hard, would it?
But yeah, we'll hear from Ricardo shortly. We'll hear from the manager, Brendan Rodgers, who spoke to Dan post-match. There's a couple of minutes still to go at Old Trafford. Manchester United 0, Burnley 2. Is that a result that gives the Foxes players a lift when they kind of leave the stadium this evening and think about and look at that gap?
Do you know what? They'll be lifted by it, of course, but I think they'll be looking forward. I think they'll be looking at Man City. I don't think they'll be overly concerned with what's. It's like when you're in a race. I think it's fatal to look over your shoulder. Sometimes it's the natural thing to do. You can't help it. But I think with Brendan in charge, with the squad that he's got at his disposal, with where Leicester are in the league. They've just got to fully concentrate on themselves.
I think what he'll say to them is, obviously the gap, the cushion just becomes, you know, even bigger now with the chasing pack. All, you know, apart from Tottenham, but Tottenham aren't even in the race at the minute, are they, for a 4th spot? So with Chelsea drawing last night, Manchester United losing this morning, Brendan will say we'll probably pinpoint the importance of that win tonight by saying, look at Man United, they can't. Chelsea last night, you know, they're all struggling. You touched on it before the game about no one wants 4th spot. So the bigger that gap grows, the more confidence it's got to be within that dressing room. The more belief that that you can finish 3rd, 4th. It's got to be there, you know. And tonight's performance and tonight's result will go a long way to Brendan Rodgers giving the players the belief that they need to see it through till the end of the season.
And picking up on Ewan's point about Manchester City, the gap is back to 3 points, both played 24 games. And I suppose that is the target for the Foxes. How close can you get?
Absolutely. You know, again, especially after tonight, especially after that gap's maintained, well, it's not maintained, it's lengthened now, then there's only one way to look. And they play Man City in a few weeks' time, I think, is it?
End of February.
End of Feb, so 3 or 4 weeks' time, which, you know, would be an absolute mouth-watering tie if things keep progressing the way, you know, they have been going for the majority of the season. Then that's going to become a humdinger of a game. Big month, February. Chelsea at King Power Stadium as well, 2 big games. Again, after tonight, they'll not be fearing that Chelsea coming here. They've proved to themselves that after a disappointing run of games, let's call it, that when they step on the gas and when they play to that tempo that Brendan, you know, expects them to, that they're capable of beating most teams. You know, it's as simple as that. And yes, they have fallen short on 1 or 2 occasions, but the performances have been good up until a point. The games that they have lost here against teams that are lower in the league, then the performances, you know, weren't up to standard. And the players will know that. So that's probably a little bit of grounding that went on tonight. You know, they've learned a valuable lesson from them games getting beat by Burnley and by Southampton. Yeah. That's a valuable lesson learned.
Dan has caught up with Ricardo. Let's hear from the LCFC Radio man of the match. We won't.
Brendan, 4 goals, 3 points. How good does that feel?
Well, it feels very good. It feels very good that we played that well. I felt against Burnley we were coming back to how we wanted to work, but tonight our message was to go and play with the personality and authority that we've played with for a lot of the season. And I thought from the very first whistle the players were very, very good in their work. So an outstanding team performance, full of great football, great defending, working hard, pressing, and the boys were very, very good.
As you said, it was a fantastic team performance. There were a number of individual standouts as well, obviously Ricardo and Harvey, particularly in that first half.
Yeah, I thought that was arguably Harvey's best game from when I've been here. You know, constant threat, starting wide, taking people on, making runs, being good in tight spaces. A great pick out for Ricardo's goal. And I thought Ricardo and Ben Chilwell tonight were very good. You know, they had that licence to get up there and support and get forward. And I thought both of them was very, very good. Obviously, Ricardo gets the goal and was outstanding. But I thought both fullbacks were excellent.
Obviously, when West Ham pulled the goal back, they could have got nervy, but they just didn't seem to panic, did they, Leicester, today?
No, I thought that the referee let them back into the game, to be honest. You know, the VAR, I think that was at its not very best. You know, I didn't think it was a penalty. And then when the replays are looked at, it was even clearer that it wasn't a penalty. So for that to stand, that gave them a little bit of momentum in the game to go to 2-1. But we coped well with that. Lots of long balls, a lot of direct play. But we coped very well, and then obviously went on and found our passing rhythm again and created opportunities and took the goals.
Jose Perez getting his first goals here at King Power Stadium. How important do you think that'll be for him?
Yeah, that's his job, to create and score goals. But I thought his work rate tonight was absolutely phenomenal. How he pressed the game, his intensity. It looked very strong tonight, and we know he can score goals. So he's a real threat in every game, and now delighted for him. And as I said, he deserved that.
A couple of sour notes on the evening, and have we got updates on Nampalys Mendy and Jamie Vardy?
Yeah, Papis was his knee, so but not fully sure on how long that will be. Jamie thankfully wasn't his hamstring; it was just his glute. He felt a sensation in it, and it was sort of spasmed really in that period. So, but we'll have a look at that tomorrow. But it didn't look too serious.
Plenty to pick from the interview with Brendan Rodgers, but I suppose the main bit, Ewan, was the injuries to Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
Possibly not as serious as we thought. Definitely not a hamstring, and maybe with the weekend off, might be firing for the Cup semi-final.
Yeah, it's just that glute muscle in the cheek of your bottom, if you like. And as soon as he felt it, I saw his hand go there. And it can be a painful thing. I was never quick enough to pull a muscle, so I wouldn't really know. But hopefully it'll only be a few days. You wouldn't have expected him to start on Saturday at Brentford anyway. You know, he'd have been wrapped up in cotton wool with such an important game next Tuesday. But that is good news. You know, it's not the top of the hamstring, which, if he's tweaked that, you're looking at 2, maybe 3 weeks. Still, it's not a long time before next Tuesday. But I'll be gobsmacked if that keeps Jamie Vardy out. Yeah. And I have to say, I thought he was absolutely spot on in what he said. They kept their composure after conceding that early goal. Didn't panic. Kept on trying to play the Leicester way, if you like, and overcome the early onslaught that West Ham threw at them.
The other one to pick out from that, Jerry, was his assessment of Harvey Barnes' best game since Brendan Rodgers has been manager at Leicester for Harvey Barnes.
Yeah. Yes, I'll go along with that. I think his composure in front of goal tonight was very, very good. Where at times where he gets himself into great positions, and then it's sort of he has a mental block sometimes. Probably a little bit harsh saying that, but he sort of runs out of ideas at times where he gets into really good positions. But tonight, as he said, laying that pass on, and pace perfect for Ricardo to come on there. You know, he's led the ball, he's played it into the right area, he's played it at the right pace to let Ricardo come on and smash that first time. So that was excellent. And then his overall game where he's getting himself into the danger area. You know, he doesn't know whether Ricardo's going to clip it or whether he's going to shoot. But he's got to make sure that he's in the right area just in case it comes his way. So excellent. But his all-round game has worked great. I mean, Zabaleta, experienced player, vastly experienced. You know, he's won a couple of league titles with Man City. You know, he looked like a non-league player tonight. You know, I think he's ready for retirement after, you know, having Harvey Barnes down his throat all
we pointed that before the game. We saw Zabaleta starting at right back, and we thought Harvey Barnes with his directness, his pace, he could have an absolute field day, and he didn't disappoint us.
But again, you know, for a young lad like Harvey Barnes to come up against a player of the stature of Zabaleta and make him look below average, again, the confidence he has to gain from that is immense. You know, it seriously is. He's got to start believing that he is a very, very good player, because we all believe it in here.
His manager believes in him.
And his manager, yeah.
Does 2 goals in 2 games mean that he might start believing in himself, particularly in front of goal?
I hope so, because again, you know, we've seen it since last season away at Tottenham when he started, and he had 3 or 4 unbelievable opportunities to score. If he had walked off for the match ball at Wembley last season, no one would have batted an eyelid, and he managed not to score any. And that's been an ongoing thing with Harvey. Yes, he scored the worldie at Sheffield United, and he scored 3 in his last 4. He's got to start believing that when he's 3 on goal, compose yourself. Don't, you know, sort of heighten your senses, relax your senses, and believe in your ability, because he's definitely got it.
As a goal scorer, is that something you can link to? When you have gone on a run of goals, you are calmer, kind of your veins turn to ice almost, you're that cool, and you start to pick your spot, rather than when you're on a run of maybe bad form where you do panic, you do snatch at an opportunity.
Yeah, and I think age comes into it. He is still a very young man, still learning his trade. He's only going to get better. He's only going to get a better awareness and what's around him, and making the right decisions when he's in the right areas, the older he gets. I mean, if he has got a lack of, I wouldn't say self-belief, all he's got to do is get a video of that first 45 minutes, DVD of that of that 45 minutes, and go and watch what a good player you are.
We've heard from Brendan Rodgers, we've heard from one of the goal scorers, Jose Perez. Let's hear from another man who was on the score sheet and the man of the match, Ricardo.
Ricardo, an excellent team performance and a really good win, that.
Yeah, we needed that after a few games without winning. It was important to play well and to take the 3 points.
You talked about that little run, but you seem to play with such confidence from the very beginning of the game tonight. Clearly your confidence wasn't shaken at all.
Yeah, because we know last game we played well, but we didn't win. So we have to do the same last week, but being more clinical. And fortunately, we did it.
Obviously, when West Ham scored, it made it a little bit nervy, a little bit tense, but the third and the fourth put the game beyond doubt, didn't it?
Yeah, I think the third goal was very important. After that, we controlled the game again. And we put the tempo, and we just managed the game.
Before that, though, obviously yourself, you got an assist and a goal as well. It was a very productive first half.
Yeah, it was very good to get back to goals, assists, and above all, helping the team.
Talk us through your strike then, because you got a very good connection on it.
Yeah, I was getting ready before the ball arrived, not to go up, and I tried to put my body straight to the ball to hit the target, and fortunately it was in.
Obviously Harvey plays out on that left-hand side, but that's a few times now. Obviously you assisted him and then he assisted you there. You seem to have a good connection, the two of you.
Yeah, it was good. I assist him, he assists me. That's good for him to score again and to keep going with this momentum.
Collectively, how good did the dressing room feel after that victory?
Very good. We wanted to come back to wins and to keep adding points, and we were very happy with our game.
That was Ricardo, this evening's man of the match, a goal and an assist. Full-time at Old Trafford, Manchester United 0, Burnley 2. It does mean that 14-point gap now from 5th place to 3rd place Leicester. Chelsea in 4th place on 40 points, so Leicester 8 points clear of 4th place, 3 points behind 2nd place Manchester City. Wednesday night, it's not been a bad night, Ewan.
It's been a good night. It's been a really good night. That is a big points margin to make up 14 points. You know, running out of games. And we spoke about Burnley before, going up to Old Trafford. Could they pull a surprise result? He'd have got them very organised. He'd have frustrated the Old Trafford faithful. He'd have made it very, very hard for Manchester United with Sean Dyche. Did I think they could go up there and win? Possibly not. I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if we could nick a point. But, you know, that really does throw a spanner in the works. And just what we were saying before, no one really wants that fourth place. You know, you can't count out Wolves.
No.
You know, Sheffield
United. Yeah, absolutely.
We've now got Man United, Spurs and Wolves in 5th, 6th and 7th place, all on 34 points. Sheffield United on 33 points. It's tightening up for that Europa place as well.
And
even no one's 4th
Chelsea are faltering as well in 4th. You know, they're not. They've just had an injury to Abrahams. We don't know how bad it is, but obviously he's their top man, and you know they seem to be faltering. So that I think, without trying to be too overconfident, I think there's 5-6 teams going for 4th spot. I think Leicester would have to have an absolute implosion not to finish in the top 4. I know that it's not beyond the realms of possibility, but you've got to believe it now. And I'm not saying that's what Brendan will say to the players. He definitely won't be keeping them on their toes. Everybody's asking Liverpool, is the title done? We all know in here that the title is done and dusted.
I'll never say it, will they?
But you'll never hear that coming out of Jurgen Klopp's mouth. You'll never hear that coming out of any of the players' mouths. And rightly so, because that breeds complacency. And it's exactly the same here at Leicester City. They've got a really comfortable points margin to 5th spot. You would have to say that, and if something seriously wrong happens, then they've got to finish in the top 4. And it's all about that performance tonight, because they've come back from a couple of difficult defeats. The first run of defeats all season, and they've turned up and they showed that they are quality players, that they are a good team, and that they can beat whoever they're playing on any given day. And that's the most important thing about tonight's result.
Leicester went out and played with such a freedom tonight. You look at Chelsea last night, struggled to a 2-2 with Arsenal down to 10 men. Man U have lost to Burnley. Spurs have only just beat bottom of the table Norwich. There's massive pressure on those 3 clubs. They're 3 clubs that are used to playing in the Champions League most season. Their fans demand that they finish in the top 4. Unlike Leicester to a degree, I'm not saying the fans aren't as demanding, but it's a bonus, and that was the target at the start of the season, finishing in the top 4. That was realistic. That's where they are, and that performance tonight showed to me that they're playing with such a freedom and no pressure on the shoulders whatsoever.
Kenneth Brown on Facebook, good performance, seemed to play with that quicker passing game again. That's something you touched upon before the game, Jerry. So did Brendan Rodgers. He asked for the Blue Army to kind of find their voices. They were great throughout this evening, never stopped singing.
Yeah, and most fans will respond when they see effort and they see a certain style of football being played. We've become accustomed to seeing that quick football, and again over the last couple of games it hasn't quite been. At Burnley it was better, but we seen it on occasions, and when we seen it, it led to chances being created. Yes, the goals weren't the goals. We scored a goal, but the goals didn't come against Burnley, but the chances were created, so that was a positive sign. Against Southampton, they were just beaten by the better team on the day. Southampton came and they outworked them, outmuscled them, outfought them, and that happens. I think the majority of their players hadn't played for 10 days or something like that there on that day.
Hadn't played since New Year's Day, I think.
New Year's Day or something like that. So you have to give them credit. The lads were feeling it. But tonight just gives the players that belief that after that run of games,
back on track. They're
back on track. The fans have seen what they've been expecting to see and haven't seen for the last couple of games.
Just staying on Brendan Rodgers, he was talking about Jose Perez, 2 goals tonight, but praised the work rate of the Spaniard and kind of rewarded for that work rate with the 2 goals.
I think it's what's expected if you're starting for Leicester these days. If the standards drop, if your work rate drops, then I don't care who you are, you won't be out the side, because first and foremost you have to show that work ethic in as an individual in a team basis. Otherwise, you won't be playing. It's a big part of how Leicester play. They love squeezing up and pressing high up the pitch. And maybe it's not something that he's accustomed to. Maybe it's not something that was demanded of him at Newcastle, but it's certainly demanding of, or it would be demanded of him from here. And he will only benefit from that. And I think I'm a firm believer if you work hard, you get your just desserts. And he got those with his 2 goals tonight.
Speaking of work rate, Dennis, listening in via Facebook, over in the Gold Coast, it was a 5:30 a.m. start for him to listen to the Leicester performance this evening.
I feel sorry for him on the Gold Coast.
He can now go and have a surf. Now he's listened to the victory.
Sorry, Dennis.
But as we go into the final few minutes of the show, and I suppose just start to look briefly towards Saturday, Jerry, the trip to Brentford. As Ewan said, the main focus will be on Tuesday night and the second leg of the League Cup. But Brendan will want to progress in the FA Cup. I think
the focus turns to the FA Cup because it's the next game. He's got a good squad, he's got a big squad, and he's going to have to utilise that squad. I always go on about, it's not like in the good old days where you'd have a squad of 18 players and you bring them in for 2 or 3 games here and there. There's a squad of 20 plus players who all cost money, millions of pounds, who are on, so you've got tens of millions of pounds sitting on the bench doing nothing, so you have to give them the opportunity to perform. And Saturday for me is that perfect opportunity yet again, like Brendan has shown in the League Cup games in the past.
2 players not involved tonight, Ewan, with Dennis Pratt and Hamza Chowdhury. You would assume they would be involved, but they come in fresh, having had tonight off. Yeah,
and Saturday is all about attitude for me. Brentford Park, not the most glamorous of stadiums. They're moving next year to a purpose-built stadium down the road. They're as good as any team, and I do a lot of Championship football. They're as good as any team that I've seen. They're very strong at home. I think they've won 8 of their last 9 at Griffin Park. Whether there'll be changes, we'll have to wait and see. If they start their first 11, it'll be a really tough game. And I was at Newport last year, and I think the Leicester boys were beaten before the ball was kicked. So I watched them walking over that Rodney Parade pitch, and it was an absolute quagmire. And you could just tell that some of them didn't really fancy it. So it's all about attitude and application on Saturday. And very briefly, Jerry, we then switched to Tuesday night, another cup competition, but a massive game that obviously you, from own experience 20 years ago of what can go from there. That game won't be about attitude. That's about holding your nerve. It's obviously both teams go into the game 1-1. And you've got to give Villa credit for coming out, the back end of the first leg, intact with a 1-1 draw. They've had a slight upturn in form since then. So they'll be fancying their chances. But it's all about holding your nerve in the key moments of the game, because, believe you me, the pressure will mount and mount and mount as the game goes on. There'll be decisions. Every decision that doesn't go your team's way will be fiercely either applauded and booed by both sets of supporters alike. The managers, there's a good chance you could see one of the managers or coaching staff losing their rag yet again with the 4th officials. So it's important that they just go out, treat the game for what it is. It's another game of football. Try and forget about what's at stake, which will be very, very difficult because everybody knows it's the semi-final of a cup competition. So, we hold our breath. Jerry, thank you for your company tonight. Thank you for going easy on me. Ewan, a winning debut, which means you'll have to come back very soon. Really enjoyed it, John. Thank you, mate. Thank you. That's all from us this evening from King Power Stadium. You can join us tomorrow on LCFC TV. It's matchday -2 from 12:30 as build-up begins towards Saturday's game. And coverage begins with pre-match pint on Saturday at 9:45 a.m. and then building up to live commentary from Griffin Park for the FA Cup 4th round game. Thank you for your company this evening. Full time from King Power Stadium. Leicester City 4, West Ham United 1. But here's a chance now for Ricardo on the right-hand side. Tapped in by Harvey Barnes. Here's Ricardo. No mistake, Ricardo. Here's Perez. Brilliantly penalty. It's Perez and it's brilliantly done. Oh, that's a lovely finish.
by Jose Perez to find the bottom corner to ensure the 3 points remain at the King Power Stadium. He scores twice, Leicester score 4, and it's been a vintage night.
For more in-depth analysis, reaction and extended highlights, head to lcfc.com.